This is all about Bitcoin, live in Miami for Miami Art Week, a show dedicated to all things questions and markets related to Bitcoin. Little B for the currency and Bitcoin, big B for the network, a collective journey to understand, apply, and use this innovation, all Bitcoin, all the time. Let's have a look at Bitcoin right now. The Coindesk Bitcoin price XBX index currently trading at 56,700 and change. Bitcoin is down about 1.3% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the Coindesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data.
The chart of the day is brought to you by Crypto.com, the world's fastest growing crypto app.
All right, Bitcoin looking a little lifeless headed into December. Will BTC pick up in price later on in the month? Well, this chart showing average returns for Bitcoin by month. Typically, BTC has positive returns in the fourth quarter, which is why some traders remain poised for a year-end rally across cryptocurrencies. Based on seasonal data, however, BTC's upside could be limited as January tends to produce negative returns. Bitcoin needs a chart a 77% rally in the next 4 weeks to reach the widely forecast year-end value of $100,000 per Bitcoin. While analysts are bullish on the cryptocurrency, they don't foresee a rally to six figures in the short term. CEC Capital saying BTC remains vulnerable to price pullbacks fueled by leverage washouts. Another signal of an interest on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, a proxy for institutional activity, has declined alongside a pickup in activity in the retail-focused Bybit exchange. In the past, increased activity on Bybit has paved the way for price pullbacks. Joining us now to discuss BTC price and more is Rosh Singh, CEO, co-founder of crypto trading platform Quadency. Hello there, Rosh. Thanks for joining us. So any chance for $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year?
Well, we believe so. Here at Quadency, we cater primarily to retail traders. And what we're seeing is that Bitcoin's been around for over, it's approaching its 12-year anniversary in January. And we have plenty of data to analyze over the time that it's been around. And what the data indicates is that these 4-year cycles, are beginning to be lengthened over time. So, in the first cycle, we had from bottom to top, it lasted about 230 days. The second cycle of 2013 bull market lasted about 700 days. 2017 bull run, from bottom to top, took about 1,100 days. And right now, in the fourth cycle, we're approaching about 1,100 days. And the general sentiment out there is that this cycle will be longer than others. And we're kind of seeing that with the double top that's forming. It's really a wedge that many are expecting Bitcoin to break out of. And we may see it continue well into the first half of 2022.
Rosh, I love your optimism. You believe that Bitcoin will reach $100,000 per Bitcoin by the end of the year. What will be the catalyst, and what kind of metrics are you looking that fuel that belief?
Well, not necessarily before the end of the year, but I do believe that first quarter of 2022, we will very likely see Bitcoin above 100,000.
And what do you think will be behind that? What will drive it up? What's the catalyst?
Well, so this 2021 has shown to be very different than previous cycles. There's a lot of institutional interest in the space. We have news coming out just today of Goldman Sachs potentially looking into Bitcoin bonds, similar to what El Salvador has done recently, issuing a $1 billion Bitcoin-backed bond. Typically in the past, when we had news that was somewhat negative about Bitcoin, it would go spiraling down. And this year, what we've seen is that it's unfazed by any kind of news coming out. We had the migration of mining out of China. U.S. now accounts for over 17% of the hash rate in mining. That was a brief blip, but if it was in 2017, I don't think Bitcoin would have recovered from that. And we're seeing similar sort of strength that Bitcoin is showing that underscores that it's being traded much more heavily by institutional traders in this highly inflationary environment, and it's becoming much more accepted as a inflation hedge, as a store of value, as a safe haven asset. It is highly uncorrelated with other assets, so having even a small percentage of allocation in a portfolio could go a long way. But what we're also seeing is that retail interest in Bitcoin is beginning to decline. Here at Quadency, where we cater primarily to retail traders, we've seen that between 2020 and 2021, there's been a significant decline in interest in trading BTC. It was around 38% in 2020, and now it accounts for less than 15%. So what's really happening is that, this idea that Bitcoin will make you a multimillionaire is going away as it gets more institutionalized, as it becomes much more mature and stable over time. So retail traders are looking at altcoins, and there's these chain wars going on between Ethereum and other chains. There's obviously meme coins and NFTs. So retail traders are very much distracted by a lot of action that's happening away from Bitcoin, and we see that trend continuing.
All right, Rosh, we got to end it there, but thank you for your insights. Appreciate you weighing in. That was Rosh Singh, CEO, co-founder of Quadency. Up next, we'll talk more about Square, which is now Block. Sounds awfully like blockchain. We'll discuss CEO Jack Dorsey's continuing journey down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Welcome back. Let's look at some of our top stories. Meta, formerly known as Facebook, has updated its criteria for running cryptocurrency ads, greatly expanding the number of projects that can market on its highly trafficked social media platforms. Tax services, news outlets, or some crypto wallets don't need approval to advertise, while crypto exchanges and full-service wallets and mining-related hardware and software companies do. Meanwhile, crypto-friendly U.S. Senator CYNTHIA LUMMIS of Wyoming has expressed concerns about the crypto track record of President Joe Biden's nominees to head the Federal Reserve for its next term, current Fed Chair Jerome Powell and Fed Governor Lael Brainard. As a result, Lummis is likely to oppose the nominations and rally other senators against them unless the Fed addresses her concerns, an aide to Lummis's office told Coindesk. In an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, Lummis wrote that her faith in the Fed has been, quote, deeply shaken by its political approach to digital assets. Finally, fintech and digital payments giant Square changing its name to Block in a move that reflects changes to its business focus days after CEO Jack Dorsey said he was leaving Twitter. Dorsey's company is building a hardware wallet and considering creating a Bitcoin mining service. The company saying Block has many associated meanings, including building blocks, neighborhood blocks, and the blockchain. Square's crypto project, Square Crypto, will also change its name to Spiral. And joining us now to discuss is Coindesk Chief Insights Columnist David Morris. Hello there, David. So,
Hi, Christine.
If it weren't for Twitter or Square, Jack Dorsey said earlier this year at Bitcoin Miami during a conference that he'd be in Bitcoin. So is this the compromise?
Well, if you look at it from a certain perspective, if you assume that he had a certain intent all along, I don't think this is a compromise. I think this is the real galaxy brain move. He's just taking his traditional payments company and turning it into a crypto company, as far as I can tell. As you noted, they kind of soft pedaled the name and tried to say it's about like music on the block or the neighborhood block or whatever. But I think those of us who have been paying attention to what Dorsey has been up to over the last few years it reads very much like this is now going to be a very crypto-focused company. And I think we'll find out more over the next few days. But as I discussed in my column this morning, they do, I think, seem to be soft pedaling that a little bit because they have so much really strong traditional revenue, and they don't want to scare off investors by making it seem like they're making some radical pivot. But I think the substance here is pretty clear.
Yeah, that article, part of the Future of Money series on Coindesk.com. I wonder, David, and you touch a little bit about this in your article, what's the difference between perception of Facebook changing their name to Meta versus Square changing their name to Block?
Well, I can't speak for perception in general, but I can speak from my perception and what we've seen on the ground. I mean, it's interesting. You had a segment about Meta changing its ad policies. Facebook notoriously was pretty hostile to crypto advertising at certain points in its history. Through Libra, Mark Zuckerberg has spent millions and millions and millions of dollars essentially attacking Bitcoin. And now his Meta concept seems flimsy. He's using a blockchain concept to, I think, sell VR, which is what they really mean when they're talking about the metaverse, which is not what we mean. And so all of those contrast really strongly with Jack Dorsey, who has really offered material support to Lightning developers and Bitcoin developers through Square Crypto, which, by the way, Square Crypto is now going to be called Spiral, which I find kind of cool. And he's been really involved. He talks about it. He's brought Lightning Network tipping to Twitter. He's done all of these real things, whereas Facebook has done nothing or less than nothing. And so for them to then come along and try and co-opt a concept from the crypto sphere, it feels like what it is, which is fake and just all about perception and basically something with no actual substance behind it. But again, not speaking for anybody but myself there, but that's my takeaway.
Opinions heard loud and clear. David, you mentioned Square Crypto is rebranding to Spiral. Why Spiral? What's the significance of that?
I really don't know, actually. I couldn't say necessarily, except perhaps if you really want to read into it, Square Crypto has been where Square has housed its Bitcoin developers. So you can think of the Spiral as something that feeds back on itself. So by funding Bitcoin development and supporting the network as a whole that everybody can use, Square Crypto, now Spiral, is actually contributing to the advancement of the company as well as everybody else. So it's a feedback.
I was curious about it. I thought maybe, the Web 2 incumbents are spiraling into Web 3 or something or other like that. In exiting Twitter, Jack Dorsey had trouble with active investor Elliott Management. They wanted him to leave in the first place. So is this a matter of him perhaps not wanting to deal with that politics, social media, and the whole censorship politics?
That's a tricky question. I think it's pretty clear that Jack does not have super complicated views himself on freedom of speech. In some ways, I wish he had more complicated views, but clearly the landscape is really difficult. I think it's probably more to the point that investors for a long time have thought that Jack dividing himself between Square and Twitter was not working, and that they deserved more of his attention. And I think that it's also fair to say that Twitter has been through some tough times and has kind of come back to a place of strength itself. So it probably feels like a good moment for him to make that handoff. And he has also, as far as I know at this point, his CTO, who is now going to become CEO, it seems fairly committed to carrying forward some of the crypto initiatives that he has put in place in Twitter. So that probably makes him feel a little bit more comfortable about making the change too.
Parag Agrawal, right? Final question, David: is Square or Block, is it a Bitcoin company now?
Well, I think that we'll find out. I think, as I said up front, the intent is clear. There's going to be a process, I think, where if I was Jack Dorsey right now, what I would do is look for places where crypto can actually make the experience of my existing customers better. and then work it in bit by bit, find the advantages. You already have a huge customer base, huge network, huge income to work with, a big cushion. And then if you can turn that into the next evolution, that's again, the Galaxy Brain play here. You take something that's already working, then you leverage the advantages of a new technology that can do certain things better.
Mm-hmm. And I see, he's had interested in building a crypto wallet, Bitcoin mining, decentralized exchange built around Bitcoin. So we'll be excited to see what he does next. All right, David, thank you so much for your insights. That was Coindesk Chief Insights Columnist, David Morris. And that's it for All About Bitcoin. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and we'll do it all over again at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Also, don't forget to tune in for 9 a.m. First Mover. You're watching Coindesk TV.